This boy is being sent on a mission to enter enemy lines, but the catch is the enemy are all girls. He's stuck in a world where men live in one nation, while the women live on the other half of the continent. Currently, the girls actually rule the world and are stronger, where they call themselves foxes, while the guys call themselves the wolves. Even though the girls are stronger, our boy Harang is the secret weapon for the kingdom of men as he's forced to turn on his serious mode. As such, his blistering speed overwhelms Hira from Hunter x Hunter, allowing him to gank her from behind using teleportation jutsu. In a blink of an eye, Harang appears behind the rice cake he was supposed to destroy today, but now he has to obliterate her in battle using only the back of his weapon. However, Hira is able to counter by using her signature defensive move she had to learn as restraining orders weren't effective enough for the top 5 ranked member of the Special Forces. Success, Harang is forced back as her defensive torrent of swings is able to stop any Chad from approaching her, but our boy has something up his sleeve. Since Harang is not just an Ultra Chad, he also happens to be the biggest Sigma male of all time, giving him an advantage against the anti-Chad attack, allowing him to find the one single weak spot in her seemingly unstoppable defense. Within mere seconds, Harang is able to destroy Hira's weapon, where our boy then proceeds to channel his Avatar airbending skills to swiftly close the gap, allowing our boy to activate his special Bad Breath attack to knock her out. With the unexpected attack being super effective, Hira finds herself already on the ground, totally defeated and unable to procure any more moves, as our boy is able to fully disarm her. Now that our Hunter x Hunter girl totally got destroyed in front of the entire Blackthorn army and her own peers, everyone looks on in shock as Hira has never lost a battle before, let alone a single 1 versus 1. Regardless, Harang stays true to his nickname of being the Prince Behemoth as he takes a quick moment to ask Hira for her collar, as bro still wants to secure some rice cake smashing for later like a true man. Unfortunately, right before he's able to retrieve her collar, he's forced to dodge away due to his ultra instincts activating, letting him know that Blondie is on the move. Now let's be real, Blondie is probably jealous our boy asked for Hira's collar first, so that's why she had to interrupt and insult Harang for being like Solid Snake. Anyways, Blondie smiles on even though her perfect sneak attack failed, so she starts making a remark about how something feels off with Harang, since the dude is showing no signs of desperation at all even when facing impossible odds. Nevertheless, Harang stands and waits for Blondie to make her move, so she ends up showcasing her true powers by instantly disappearing using her supersonic speed she learned from the hedgehog. Although Blondie is lightning fast, our boy is still able to keep track of her, while successfully baiting her to strike him out in the open. With Blondie actually taking the bait, Harang finally activates his trap card by breaking his spear into 2, effectively transforming them into some sort of nunchucks. Using his quick thinking, our boy is able to dodge every single attack without even having to face her, as bro got that main character type of power. Now with Harang fully tested to the best of Blondie's abilities, she's able to finally confirm the reason why Ara picked him as the chosen one to clap the irresistible cakes of the goddess. However, after being distracted for literally only 1 second, our boy takes the opportunity to instantly land a direct blow on Blondie, rendering her absolutely useless. With her finally defeated with a single blow, Harang looks back and starts calling her out for being part of the water hyacinths, whilst busy putting his spear back in its original form. He then takes his time to thank her for helping the boys get out of the city, so in return he reveals to her that if a war actually breaks out, then the Crimson Foxes will find themselves totally wiped out by the wolves. Harang then continues on by claiming the fact that he's not ready to perish in battle, so he apologizes if he needs to play a little dirty to make sure he's able to survive. Meanwhile, Silly watches on as Harang makes his Chad speech to Blondie, but upon finishing his speech, Silly surprisingly orders all the archers to stand down from their positions. She even goes as far as threatening her entire army that if anyone accidentally fires, then they will get clapped by her very own hands. As such, this gives time for Harang to run off while both Blondie and Hira try their best to get back up on their feet to chase down the legendary Prince Behemoth. This time, however, both girls decide they need to drop their pride as they can't take down our boy 1 versus 1, so Kira asks for help to take them down together. Elsewhere on the opposite end of the battlefield, Maru finds himself having an unusually hard time against Alita Battle Angel as she's fighting with more tenacity than usual. Although they've been fighting off against each other for literally the entire time both have enlisted as part of their respective Delta forces, Maru the nerd knows she's about to obliterate him into Reese's Pieces. You might as well call him Nostradamus, as he's able to successfully predict his demise mere seconds later. Luckily, right before Hina is able to land her finishing blow on Maru, Harang shows up last second and saves him by knocking her out with the back of his spear. Unfortunately, Harang had to stop for a few seconds to help out Maru, allowing Hina's sister to catch up to him to land a strike of her own from behind. Right before she thought she had him right where she wanted him to be, our boy instantly turns around and channels his WWE skills to bring her back down to where she belongs. After landing on the ground again, our boy quickly apologizes right before he fully sends her to a dream state, but he's also able to swiftly remind her that she's due for a rice cake smashing with him in the future. Nevertheless, after defeating both Hira and Hina, Herring drops the bomb on Maru that it's all up to him now to support Karim, since Herring needs to do the heavy lifting to make sure they all come out of this ordeal alive. Now, right before Maru could even reply back, Herring literally disappears off into the sunset, causing Maru to double check if he's seeing things, as bro literally teleported forward. Now that Maru is saved, we discover that Hisper Wong is also having a hard time with his partner, as Mira is delivering the strongest attacks he's ever faced. Although these guys are literally lovers, even though Mary do be double dipping on both men and women, including Wong, she's actually about ready to send him 6 feet underground without any hesitation. But just like what happened with Maru, Wong gets absolutely saved in the nick of time by Herring, as he's able to one-kick man her into the sunset. He then instantly combos his kick with a self-inflicted whiplash, allowing Mary to go take a quick nap, while Herring tells Wong he has a plan for everyone to escape out of this hellhole. However, as Herring is busy telling Wong they need a hostage to make the plan work, Blondie appears from behind with a gentle smirk and continues to gank our boy with her double daggers. The turntables then turn while the two face off in battle once again, as Blondie takes the opportunity to talk to Herring while looking like she's trying to win the Best Actress award at the Oscars. She then reveals the fact that she tied a hidden rope to the end of the cliff behind him, which is marked by a pointy rock just so no one else can see from above. Blondie then continues on by telling our boy that she's ready to act as the hostage, as the boys will need to move ASAP if they want to get out of this place alive, as more and more reinforcements are coming to make sure the elite Garimbi see their end. However, Herring, being a true gentleman, declines her offer and tells her they don't want to drag her along with this, so Maru sneaks up from behind and sends her to her nappy time. Now that the boys are all united bar Karim, the 3 musketeers hurry to enact the plan they originally made, with Maru telling Wong to stop diddle-dallying as they don't have much time. Unfortunately, Wong refuses to move, as it turns out he's the biggest simp of them all, as he wants to say goodbye to Mary, as he knows this might be the last time they will see each other again. Meanwhile, Sealy stands firm with her decision and orders her army to make sure no one makes a single move, as her eyes are glued on to Herring like a true supreme sussy baka. As she watches Herring make a mad dash toward Ara, she starts thinking to herself that she needs to confirm if Herring is actually the real deal against Ara, as she can't believe Mukbum has been hiding such a monster all this time. Regardless, Karim is actually able to hold on to his dear life against the goddess, even though she's no longer holding back against her former #1 simp. Now the crazy thing is that Karim had to ask Goku to lend him some powers, so this time he's able to take more hits than usual, as he knows he needs a miracle to survive the oncoming onslaught waiting for him. Nevertheless, for the first time ever, Ara compliments Karim, telling him that he's changed, so she asks him outright if his mother actually means so much for him to gain so much power in so little time. She then continues on by delivering a heartbreak, telling Karim he actually had a chance to destroy her rice cakes if she held her mother in the same regard as other women, but it's too late now. With Ara ending her talk by claiming that men always seem a step behind, it turns out that she's been playing with him all along, as she forced him to the edge of the cliff without him even realizing. Ara then shows off her crazy girlfriend look to Karim and the boys, as she turns around to Herring only to angrily tell him that he ruined everything. But then it eventually dawned on her that she's surrounded by the elite Garimbi, so she gets surprised as she finally notices all of her squad mates have all been knocked out and defeated. Upon learning that it was solely Herring's doing, she starts to look even more crazy, as she begins to repeat herself by saying, "Our boy ruined everything." Elsewhere, as the goddess talk it out with the boys, a bunch of hooded figures are revealed to be hiding around the mountain overlooking the battlefield, where they plan to take out Ara as soon as she starts combat with the Garimbi. It then turns out that these women have been sent by the current queen to make sure they dispatch of Ara, as it's a perfect opportunity to take her out while she can place blame on the elite Garimbi. Luckily, not a single soul dares to make a move, as the entire army of girls are busy getting ready to watch their first sword in action against 4 elite Garimbi. Regardless, Maru informs Ara that they plan to use her as bait, as they know Silly won't order her squad to take a shot which could endanger her. However, Ara claps back by claiming that she has zero intentions of becoming bait for them, so the only way they could ever use her is to take her down and send her to the afterlife. With Ara's true Chad powers pulsating through her words, she points her sword at the boys and tells them that she's ready to take down at least 2 with her to the next dimension. She then continues on by switching her stance towards Herring, asking the rest of the boys if they're even at all curious to see how strong Herring actually is, as this Prince Behemoth came out of nowhere. As such, she ends up successfully baiting them to leave her on a 1 versus 1 against Herring, since she personally calls out Karim being the most curious out of them all. Even though Herring looks at the rest of the boys for some of support, each one look away and tell him that they're actually super curious to see how strong Prince Behemoth really is. Even Karim refuses to say anything, as literally every single one left on the battlefield wishes to see if the Prince Behemoth really do be packing in more ways than one. And so we leave off with Herring happy to duel Era in front of everyone, even though he never expected this outcome. And so the greatest anime duel is about to begin, but Era instantly asks the boys how long they think Mr. Chicken Nuggets can last inside her sweet and sour sauce. However, our boy is not even remotely deterred by his queen's attempt in trash talk, as he knows things are about to get super fun, especially with an entire audience from both kingdoms watching, ready to see his ultimate reveal of his chat powers. Meanwhile, for the first time ever, the elite Garimbi have finally witnessed the rank 1 swordsman of all time smile, so things might get super sussy real quick. Regardless, our boy readies his defensive stance, looking like a super sigma male, since Herring knows this is a do or perish situation, and he really wants to live another day, as he promised Blondie and Hira a rice cake smashing appointment in the future. Elsewhere, Sylvie watches on while still on top of the mountain overlooking the duel, but it finally dawned on her that Era is a genius, since she probably planned this all along to make sure Herring gets an audience in front of the masses to showcase his skills. And out of anyone else in the world, the only person that can confirm how overpowered Herring really is actually herself, so she's actually super mega brain bro. Now the crazy part is, if Herring is actually able to go toe-to-toe with Era in front of everyone, then they will all know that our boy is strong enough to challenge the North Wind for the throne. Regardless, the battle finally starts with Era making the first move, as she's the best Stacy of all times, so within a blink of an eye she made headway within Herring's attack range. She then attempts to deliver a strike, but her blow barely misses due to our boy's insane matrix dodging abilities, even in the face of blistering speed. However, Era is unlike any other opponent he's ever faced before, as our girl instantly reappears like an upper-rank 6 demon, giving Herring no breathing time as her attacks are relentless. Luckily, our boy is somehow able to perfectly parry all the upcoming blows from her, almost as if his Ultra Instincts is on another level compared to the goddess. But again, within another blink of an eye, Era disappears like my silent farts within the wind, leaving her totally untraceable with the naked eye. And within a second, she swiftly reappears from behind and attempts another devastating blow, exactly just like when the enemy jungler happens to be a pro Shaco. Fortunately for our boy, his intense focus allows him to literally dodge last second, leaving just an inch between her final blow and his body from making contact, so Herring knows she's not holding anything back. Meanwhile, Era's oldest and richest oil simp can only watch on as he starts getting more jelly than my belly, due to him being unable to comprehend exactly how Herring's power level is over 9,000. With the battle heating up and becoming more intense as the seemingly infinite seconds pass, Karim realizes that his younger brother really is the real deal. As such, Karim begins to get flashbacks to the time when he first encountered Era in the wild, where she absolutely destroyed him to pieces like a honey badger against its prey, and there was not a thing he could do to prevent his first loss. Now, I don't blame our bro for forever simping for Era, as her short hair totally hit different back then, cause she looking like a true goddess here. Anyways, back in the present, Karim's eye widen even more as he watches Herring continually keep up with Era, and unlike Herring, it took years for him to even last more than a minute against her in battle. Nevertheless, both the Prince Behemoth and the goddess reincarnation start smiling like absolute menaces in the middle of battle, as no one up to this point in their life has ever kept up. And just like that, Herring has started to think playtime is soon over, as he's secretly finished downloading Era's entire skill moves, so he readies to go on the counter. Era, however, has other plans, so she tries her best to keep Herring from the offensive, as she wants everyone in the world to see this boy should be the future king. But the turntables turn in just a few seconds after Era thought she had the upper hand, leading to Herring taking the prime opportunity handed to him to trip her to the ground. Surprisingly, Era is so strong that right before she hit the ground from getting tricked, she instantly levitated and recoiled back on her feet without her even touching the ground. With just a single blunder in battle, the Blackthorn members start looking a little bit worried, as they are absolutely gobsmacked that their first sword has not yet dealt a finishing blow to Herring. Instead, the boy is still up and running, and this time he's looking like he's finally got the chance to take the upper hand, so he charges on forward like a madman wanting free chicken sandwiches from Pop Eyes. Now that Herring has his best foot forward, his first strike leaves traces of an enormous air blast, showcasing his tremendous strength and power. The offensive blow was so strong that it left Karim in the dust, thinking about how Mukbang was right the entire time. It took him too long to realize that his own father has been hinting to him that his lil bro must be hiding something special, but he was too distracted by Ara's scrumptious rice cakes. Regardless, Karim finally stops being an emo Levi Ackerman and flashes a smile for the first time ever, just like Ara. With every minute slowly passing by, the Black Thorn and the army of girls get even more flabbergasted as they witness Harang keep up with Ara, but to also do so while barely receiving any scratches. At the same time, Sealy is astonished to see that not only is Harang keeping up with her, but she's the only one that notices that our boy is actually making Ara fall behind. Now, this isn't the only time Harang has ganked and surprised her from behind, as his Prince Behemoth has already greeted the papayas of the goddess beforehand. Anyways, as the duel waged on, Harang was able to make headway by continually forcing Ara back due to his immense expert skills he mainly learned from Roblox. However, unlike most people losing a battle, Ara starts giggling and begins to wonder why she's having so much fun, since she's always used to smurfing on some iron noobs and one-tapping them while being the rank 1 Radiant player. Nonetheless, while totally distracted by a feeling she's never experienced before, she realizes too late that Harang is forced to the edge of a cliff without her ever noticing. And our boy was able to do this all while using some trash weapon he picked up from a local barn while Ara was using the best sword of the ages. But as she gets cornered to the edge by Harang, it dawns on Karim that he can no longer stand aside and watch his younger brother take all the spotlight. As such, Karim's inner demons come out and take over his soul, convincing himself that there's no such thing as honor in an all-out war, so he lunges forward like a maniac. In just a matter of just a few minutes, he went from believing in his brother to save them all, to losing to his intrusive thoughts as he wants revenge on the one woman that broke his heart. Even Wong and Maru get absolutely shocked at their captain's actions, as they know no one ever breaks the dual pact unless you are a mega soy boy. However, right before he lands the finishing blow to send the oblivious goddess to the other realm, Lady Karma calls him a mega baka and claps him with an arrow last second. As Karim falls towards Ara due to the impact of the shot, she notices behind him that another blinding light is fast approaching, looking like she's the target this time. And since Ara had a small glimpse of the speeding arrow coming right after her, she's able to luckily stave off the attack last second by deflecting it with her trusty sword. She's then able to instantly find out where the arrow was shot from, so she ends up seeing two archers set up directly opposite of the mountain. Unfortunately, she couldn't see who exactly was the culprit as she only saw their shadows, so Sealy comes to the rescue and swiftly orders the Black Thorn to catch the fugitives. With chaos now amok due to the attempt on the lives of the future queen, Sealy comes to the conclusion that it must be the wolves behind this, or else it must be the current queen. Meanwhile, Karim dramatically falls off the edge of the cliff looking totally unconscious due to the arrow, even though bro has taken worse hits in his life before and came out unscathed. Regardless, Ara, being nice, actually tries to save him while he falls to the deepest depths of Gurajam, but she barely makes it on time, so she's unable to catch his hand. With her turning into an angel by attempting to save Karim, she ends up accidentally taking a step too far forward, so she ends up finding herself in a sticky situation. Luckily, Harang, the true Mega Chad, comes to the rescue and grabs her hand to catch her from falling. To Harang's surprise though, instead of Ara being grateful, she instead calls him stupid for risking his life to save her, as he's just going to end up falling as well. But here's the thing, even though Harang has a massive banana tree behind his armor, he's also hiding a big brain, so he's already planned to catch them both using the rope Blondie hid earlier. Simultaneously, useless Maru and Wong try to catch both of them before they fall, since apparently no one cared about Karim. Unfortunately, the other two elite Garimbi members missed out on the Sonic the Hedgehog speed classes, so they were too late to the scene to be of use. Instead of being helpful this entire time, the boys just decide to strike a pose so they can look cool in front of the army of girls. Silence then echoed throughout the entire valley as every single person alive stopped in their tracks, unable to believe what they just witnessed, as both rank ones of both nations just fell off a cliff. No one ever survives. Eventually, Sully breaks the silence as she too could not believe what just happened, so she raises her arm in retaliation, signaling to the girls it's time. Now outraged that the hope of the kingdom of women have been taken out through despicable means, Sealy yells like Erwin Smith and tells her army to obliterate the Garimbi. A hail of arrows then swiftly illuminate the afternoon sky, leaving both Maru and Woon to fend for themselves 1 versus 6,900. But in the face of all adversity, Maru the nerd can only watch on, as he knows his and Woong's chance of surviving is slim to none, with both Harang and their captain gone. Meanwhile, Harang tries his best to become the most legendary anime hero of all time by making sure he secures another rice cake smashing with Ara, but it looks like his luck is about to run out. With only having a few seconds left to react to save both of them from imminent splatter, he luckily remembers that Blondie from earlier has left a rope nearby just in case. As such, he's able to brute force his Batman flying ability by successfully swinging in the air, leading him to actually reach the rope with one hand. Unfortunately, his left hand slowly becomes Swiss cheese as it gets grated by the rope, with him trying his hardest to make sure Ara and himself can be saved before the two reach the end of the rope. Eventually, Herring is able to fully stop their descent with sheer force, so he's able to complete his mission of securing another rice cake smashing by saving both of them literally inches before the end. But then things take a non-sussy turn as Ara somehow slips from Herring's hand. You'd think someone as legendary as her would have already been able to swing onto the rope using her overpowered skills. Regardless, as she falls into the mystical gorge where no one ever recalls back to base, she looks as if she remembered she ate some bean burritos and things are about to get ugly. Ara then disappears into the mist that was quickly created by the outcome of her eating her bean burritos, so she ends up looking like she's about to make an appearance in the Splatoon series. But like a true Chad, a king never leaves his queen behind, so Herring decides he ain't going nowhere with Ara, so he lets go and follows his destiny. Elsewhere, things don't look too hot for the elite Garimbi boys either, as Wong commands Maru to hide behind him as his shield is their only chance of making it through. And as the unlimited arrows begin pelting two of the top 6 ranked boys, they oddly start hearing Blackpink in their heads going, "Hit you with that do-do-do-do." Nonetheless, with every second passing feeling like an eternity, Wong turns around like a true Sigma male and yells at Maru to do whatever it takes for him to get out of here in one piece. He continues by claiming that since he has such a much bigger brain than him, then he has his utmost belief in him being able to make it out, unlike his boy Rengoku. Nevertheless, Wong ends up simping till the end, even with his end screen flashing right before him, so he tries to ask Maru for just one last favor. Unfortunately, Bro failed to fully deliver his message to Maru as he accidentally got one-shotted right before he could finish his sentence. With Wong finally seeing his defeat end screen, the elite Garimbi lose their first ever member in battle, so Maru is only able to pat his old friend goodbye while saying there will be another time when they can all meet again. Mere seconds after, Maru scans the battlefield looking for Alita Battle Angel, making sure she's okay, since it seems like every member of the elite Garimbi are mega simps in one way or another. Regardless, he bids farewell to both and tells them to sleep tight right before he activated his amazing disappearing jutsu. Shortly after Maru disappears into the fold, Silly makes her way in front of the fallen Garimbi member looking a little bit sad. While she receives news that the Black Thorn have been unable to find the source of the arrows that targeted the future queen, she continues to be quiet and is unable to utter any commands. Eventually, with her back still turned away from her entire army, she looks on forward while ordering her captains it's time for them to withdraw. She then commands everyone by telling them their pursuit ends here and for everyone to return to their respective units while they await further command from her. Now, with the entire girls-only army beginning to disband to head back to headquarters, Silly subtly scans to her left, and to her left she finds both Hira and Blondie totally stricken with disbelief as they can only watch on from the top of the gorge, feeling full with regret as they weren't able to protect the strongest woman on the planet and their best friend. Elsewhere, Mira finally regains consciousness, and upon learning about what happened to her beloved Womb, she instantly collapses to the ground. Now, for the first time ever, the girls begin to cry as they can't handle both their lovers being gone and their best friend gone with them as well. With the twin sisters and Mira still taking time to digest what just happened, Blondie and Seely make subtle eye contact, looking like they both want to say something, but it's too public to do so. After continuing their staring contest for a couple more seconds, it looks like the two girls delivered a message using their telepathic abilities they learned from Anya, allowing Silly to finally leave. As Sully steps away from the aftermath, Ira finally speaks up asking Blondie what's next, since she's never imagined for this to ever happen. With Hira still stuck in the past and stuck looking into the bottomless pit before her, Blondie responds by telling her it's useless to keep thinking about the past, since from now on, they won't even get the chance to think. Meanwhile, at the bottom of Mount Gurajum, an ominous blue darkness begins to engulf the first sword of the Crimson Foxes. Ara is then able to open her eyes, somehow still alert and animated even after the major fall, but she starts seeing the purple-blue darkness close in on her with weird sounds emanating from afar. Trees then come alive, looking a little bit hungry for some prey, so this is giving me flashbacks to our Boy Clapped Tree series. Regardless, with the rank 1 of the Crimson Foxes surviving the epic fall, she tries to move but is unable to do so. Suddenly, as she keeps trying to get up, she sees from the corner of her eye another tree looking like an evil sussy warrior. And upon closer inspection, she realizes that the sussy purple tree man has taken the form of a human looking eerily like Captain Karim, ready to enact his revenge. Suddenly, as we scroll, I yell at our editor to make sure to do overtime work, as purple things not looking like tree branches start to ooze from Karim, and let's just say these things look super sussy. Let's just act like this is Sword Art Online again and tell ourselves that this is super extendable tree branches ready to rumble. Anyways, the rest was history as the purple tree branches begin attacking and sieging Ara in more ways than you can imagine. As the planet of Arak is ravaged by weird branches, our hero Herring appears out of nowhere and interferes by ordering his captain to nicely take a few steps back from his queen. However, Karim, infused with the evil soul of Garajan, refuses and continues his attack while he stares at his younger brother ominously. Suddenly, in Karim's point of view, Herring is turned into a boy looking like a happy pumpkin ready to destroy his bum. Of course, evil Karim looks like he ain't want no one to be happy just like himself, so his inner rage starts to boil as he gets ready to go on his war path. And within mere seconds, the two strongest black wolves clash against one another, leading to Ara getting dropped on the ground. It then turns out to be some kind of dream for Ara, as she had her armor totally shredded by Karim earlier, and now it's all somehow back together in one piece. Regardless, she becomes more focused and aware of her situation, still unable to move much, but at least she's grateful that she's still kicking. Then out of nowhere, she hears some growling to her side, so she attempts her best to scan the area to no avail. It's then revealed that the sound she's hearing is stemming from Herring fighting something fast and mysterious. And in just a blink of an eye after Herring goes on his defensive stance, he gets sent flying just from a single blow of Karim, still looking like he's infused with evil power. Our boy is then left shocked as he can't believe his brother randomly got so strong even though bro is littered with injuries. It's basically like if Karim turned into a zombie and now no amount of physical damage can stop him from giving his best while infused with the mysterious energy. As Herring continues to try and make sure he doesn't do too much damage to his brother, it dawns on him that if Karim is unable to snap back to reality, then there's no way for him to save them both at this rate, plus he has no idea how to get out. Eventually, Herring convinces himself that he can't keep this up, so he needs to charge up his Rasengan as Karim is gaining more speed and power by the second. As such, he drops his sword and instantly disarms his brother mid-attack, baiting him into swinging, allowing him to take the upper hand. Herring then swiftly combos his attack into an effective takedown, all thanks to his cousin John Cena, allowing Herring to send his brother flying off like Team Rocket. Upon finally destroying his brother using all his might, Herring rushes over to where Karim lands and tells him to stop being a woozy as it ain't time for Karim to join Wom in the afterlife. Luckily, Herring's efforts lead to Karim actually snapping back to reality, but he barely has any energy left, so he passes out while only seeing the faint outline of his lil bro. Nevertheless, after soundly defeating an evil Karim in battle, Herring heads straight to Ara to make sure she's okay and apologizes for stealing her sword for just a couple minutes. And like a true Chad, he picks her up from the ground and puts her on his back, allowing him to easily carry the dead weight on his team just so the two can both reach Radiant together. Unfortunately for the two lovebirds, they ventured off into the maze that is Mount Gurajam literally right before Mukbum was able to rescue them. It's then revealed that Mook went after them secretly, but the only thing they found at the bottom of the gorge was Karim totally unconscious and with Herring nowhere to be found. Mook then tries his best to search for his other boy, but to no avail, as they were only able to find Maru hanging on a tree branch for his dear life. Nonetheless, knowing that they only have a few more minutes before they are forced to resurface back up the mountain, he screams as loud as he can, hoping that Herring can hear him, but all Mook is met with is resounding silence. Eventually, Bro gets a tap on his shoulder, so he tries his best to yell the loudest he could, but still he's unable to hear any kind of response back. And so Mook is forced to turn around, totally gutted as he knows he can't endanger his entire squad just for one person, even if it means leaving behind one of his sons. Meanwhile, back in the headquarters of the Kingdom of Women, the current queen stares outside her window while receiving news that both future queens and kings have fallen into the depths of Mount Gurajam. Of course, she's totally elated as this was the best outcome she could have ever imagined, allowing her and the North Wind to continue on with their reigns unopposed. Fast forward to the evening, the North Wind waits on top of a hill in total darkness, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike into the heart of the kingdom. He then disappears back into the cover of darkness, while Seal is busy debriefing the top brass about the special weapon that the Black Wolves have conjured up to make sure any Crimson Fox is left useless during battle.